We are back with the brand new video. What is good, Heat Nation? In today's video, we're going to be talking about and recapping the Heat versus Hornets game, previewing the rest of the season, talking about, future plans for this team because it does not look anything great right now. It looks terrible. We're going to be talking about all that. Make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Make sure y'all turn on post notifications. Leave a comment down below as to what you guys think about the team so far after the trade deadline. And also go check out my second channel and my Twitter. Both will be in the description. I'm dropping a video on my second channel very soon. Stay tuned for that. Let's get right into it, man. To be honest, at this point, we're 2 games after the All-Star break, after the trade deadline, and we've looked terrible in both of them. We lost against the Milwaukee Bucks, got blown out against the Milwaukee Bucks. No Giannis for majority of the game, and we got absolutely destroyed. And the Charlotte Hornets, who are one of the worst teams in the NBA, beat us, and we were at one point down 20 to them as well. I'm speechless. I really don't know what to say. I'm kind of getting tired of saying the same things over and over again. To be honest, whenever I watch a game, whenever I watch a Heat game now, I'm only watching it for the development of players. Because I know the end game already. I know that no matter what seed we get, we're going to be a first-round exit. We're going to be at max a second-round exit. At this point, I don't think we're going to make it to the second round. We're only a half a game ahead of the Hawks right now. We're 2.5 games behind the Knicks, who are the 6th seed. So we are currently in the play-in, and it's not like we are like clawing and like we are on the edge of the 6th seed, because we're not. We're in the play-in. This is so reminiscent of 2021 all over again. All over again. And to be honest, I think it's worse than 2021. I think it's worse. In 2021, at least fans had some fake optimism that they were like, you know what, we'll turn this around. There were some Heat fans who actually believed that we could beat Milwaukee in 2021. To be honest, I might have been one of them. I really might have been one of them. But in 2023, which is this season, I think everyone out there who supports the Heat, who doesn't support the Heat, knows that the Heat just aren't good enough, and they're going to be in the play-in and potentially in the playoffs, but apart from that, they're just going to be another mediocre team out there. And that's what they are right now. Jimmy Butler said it himself, I'm tired of losing. We should have said this before the trade deadline, Jimmy, because you were vouching for your boy Kyle. That's why I didn't get traded. Now, obviously, we don't know what went on behind the scenes, but Kyle Lowry still shouldn't be part of this team. I know he didn't play in these last 2 games, but I don't think people understand, Kevin Love and Cody Zeller are not changing much for this team. Kevin Love he's a solid player, so is Cody Zeller, but none of them are all-star caliber. None of them are X factors or anything like that. They're just at best solid rotational pieces, which is fine. It adds to our depth, but it does not change a lot of, things in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't make us a contender. It doesn't make us a lot better than we were before. So yeah, I mean, Kevin Love signing was pretty good, and I guess it was exciting. I just think we were down bad, bro. I just think as a fan base, we were just down bad for something to happen, and Kevin Love kind of fell into our lap. And Heat Nation was excited because we had not experienced a new player on this team since the offseason. We were one of the few teams, I think one of the 2 or 3 teams that did not make a single trade at the deadline. It was us, Chicago, and Cleveland. So when we signed Kevin Love, everyone was like, it was almost like we were trading for a player, because us Heat fans had not gotten the excitement of a new player being added to this roster since the offseason, since before the season started. And even in the offseason, it's not like the Heat added anyone to the roster either. So actually, since probably last year's trade deadline, which was a year ago, the Heat have not really made any changes to their roster. So to be honest, I can understand why so many people were down bad. So many people were like, yo, Kevin Love is going to change the picture. He's going to do this and that. And listen, I said it in the last video. We have to tone down our expectations for a lot of these players, because a lot of these players, people will hype up and try to make them seem better than what they are when they're really not. There are only 2 to 3 players on this team that are, starter quality. and that is Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. Nobody else on this roster would start on a playoff team in any other playoff team or any other contending team. Because playoff teams are out there. There are playoff teams out there that, you know, some of these guys would start on. But as far as championship contenders, the only 3 players on this roster that would start on championship contending teams are Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. And Tyler's, I don't even know if Tyler's a guarantee. Tyler is like a maybe. So a lot of these players are overhyped by the fan base. And we're finally seeing, you know, why a lot of these players, you know, they're just not as good as what we advertise them to be. There are so many flaws with this roster. And if I had to list every single one of them, I'd be making a 2-hour video. So I'm not going to list every single one, but I'm going to list the major ones that have been haunting us throughout the entire season. Number 1, three-point shooting. The three-point shooting this season has been absolutely atrocious. I think we're the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA as far as percentages are concerned. Last season, we were like top 3 or top 5. That is no secret as to why like we have fallen off such a cliff from the 1 seed to the 7 seed. Because a lot of people are genuinely puzzled. Like, you know, we only lost PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is not LeBron James. Like, how do we fall from the 1 seed to the 7 seed? And there are a lot of reasons for this. But number 1, the three-point shooting. The three-point shooting has been very disappointing this season, and this is what happens when your team is very reliant on the three-point shot. Now, I don't know if last season we kind of just overachieved and just shot a lot better than what we were supposed to, or if this season we're just shooting a lot worse than what we're supposed to, or if it's just a little bit of both, because it just might be that. But I just think this is going to be the case where when your team just relies on the three-point shot so much, because we don't really have anybody who can really score and get their like buckets on a 3-level ability consistently. Now Jimmy, he's a guy that will turn it up a notch in the playoffs, but in the regular season he kind of just is out there some games. Like, he kind of just doesn't really care, which is fine. But for our team, when we don't really have that 3-level scorer, which we want Tyler to be, but Tyler is very inconsistent as well. Bam, he's tried to be the number 1 option this season, and he's done a really good job at it. But at the end of the day, you can really only go so far with the center being your number 1 option. You kind of need you kind of need some perimeter help, and we don't really have that. We don't really have like a certified bucket who can kind of just get his own from all 3 levels. Even Bam is only a mid-range and in guy. Same with Jimmy. So when you don't have the luxury of having killers like Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, people like that, you're going to have to rely on three-point shooters and role players a lot. And last season, fortunately for us, we were able to knock down a lot of our threes, but this season it's been the exact opposite, and we've just missed every single like open threes, contested threes. We've just missed all of them, and it's been very, very disappointing. Now obviously, again, I don't know if this is just a case of the shooters, like if we thought the shooters were just overachieving last season, or if they're underachieving this season. Again, it might be a little bit of both, but the three-point shooting is one of the biggest reasons we've fallen off a cliff. Number 2, and this is a very, 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 very important reason, we did not improve our roster from the offseason. And when other teams improve their roster, teams like Cleveland, teams like New York, who were not in the playoffs last season, when they improve their roster, they're going to be in the playoffs, which means when 2 teams who were not in the playoffs last season go into the playoffs, 2 teams will have to fall out. Now, this season, it's been us and the Hawks. The Hawks made a move, but for some reason, because of their coaching situation, they just have not been able to get on track, and we did not make any moves. So because of that, we've been left behind. Now, a lot of teams made moves. Even Philly, Boston, Milwaukee, they improved as well. But especially Atlanta, Cleveland. Now, obviously, Brooklyn, they made a couple of moves in free agency, but obviously they traded Kyrie and KD now. But yeah, like when you do not make moves and when you kind of just stay pat, even though you're not really like, you know, you shouldn't really be a team who's just doing nothing unless you went to the finals. And even in that situation, because look what happened in 2020. We went to the finals and we didn't do anything. So honestly, no team should bring back the same group of guys. Now, obviously, it wasn't the exact same because we did not have PJ, but we did not add anybody to our roster either besides Nikola Jovic, who was a draft pick. So when you don't add like new pieces to your roster in the offseason, and when other teams do, you kind of get left behind, and that's just what happened. So that's number 2, is that we did not really make any changes in the offseason. Other teams did, so we got left behind. Number 3 is very, very crucial as well. Now, obviously, there was a lineup change from last year to this year, and it involved Tyler Herro going into the starting lineup. Now, obviously, you cannot ask for Herro to come off the bench again because of how well he played. He wanted to start, and it made sense for him to start. We were paying him a max contract. We gave him the extension. There was no reason why he would come off the bench, but unfortunately, he does not fit with the starters. He really does not. Like, there's a reason why we flourished so well with him off the bench last season was because when you put him alongside Jimmy, Bam, and Kyle, those are 3 players who cannot really play off the ball. Kyle, Jimmy, and Bam are not good off the ball players. And to compound and make matters worse, PJ Tucker was one of the best off the ball players in the league last season. Caleb Martin is not nearly the off the ball threat that PJ Tucker is. So not only did we downgrade at a position as far as who can play better off the ball between PJ and Caleb, we surrounded Tyler Herro with 3 guys who cannot play well off the ball. So whenever Tyler had the ball in his hands, it was a lot of just standing around. No one was really taking Jimmy or Bam seriously because, you know, if they're not in the mid-range or in area, no one's really guarding them. Jimmy's not a consistent shooter. Kyle's shooting took a dip. It just did not really make sense as far as, you know, fit on the court. Now, obviously, talent-wise, we'd be very stupid to have Herro come off the bench again because especially for paying him $130 million over 4 years, you have to start the man. But I would have liked to see Kyle Lowry go to the bench or someone else like that and had Herro in the backcourt with a shooter who can, you know, play off the ball like a Strus or someone like that, and then have someone be a 6-man initiator like maybe a Lowry or someone in that case. Having Herro, Lowry, Jimmy, and Bam is just a lot of people who need the ball. It's kind of like a lot of chefs in the kitchen. You can't really balance everything very well. There's always people running into each other. Like it's very cluttered. It's not smooth. So when you add Herro into the starting lineup, you know, the fit becomes very, very clunky. And it's not Herro's fault. He's a very good player, but unfortunately for him and unfortunately for us, we just don't have the players around him. And I'm not saying around him because I'm not saying he's like the guy we have to build around, but I'm saying whenever you insert a new player into the starting lineup, you have to make sure that they are, you know, fitting in with the group that is existing already. And for some reason, Herro just hasn't been able to do that. And that's why his numbers are a lot better off the bench. That's why the Heat last season were so good with Strus starting and then Herro replacing one of the starters and just kind of just taking all the shots and having a green light to come off the bench and score, because off the bench, he didn't have to share the ball with anyone. He kind of just did his thing, and he was surrounded by a lot of role-playing shooters off the bench. So it was a lot easier for him. But this season, you know, playing alongside guys who need the ball in their hands, it's very, very difficult for Herro. Another small thing related to Herro starting, which the front office, again, neglected to address this offseason. When we decided to start Tyler Herro, we neglected, for some reason, I don't know why, even like at the offseason, I was clamoring about this. We did not find a 6-man replacement. And right now, our bench is terrible. It's terrible. Like, there is zero. Like, look at our bench right now. Look at the names on our bench and tell me who out there on our bench is a legit 6-man guy. And please do not say Oladipo, because Oladipo, from what we've seen, is clearly not the same player that he was before his injury, which is fine. But he's not even anything close to that offensively. Defensively, he's still elite, but offensively, Oladipo is just, he's not that guy anymore. Vincent, extremely inconsistent. Strus is just a guy who's just going to shoot the ball. He's not like a ball handler or anything. Same with Duncan. Same with Caleb now. Same with anybody else. Like, who off the bench are we asking to be a 6-man initiator, a guy who can make plays? Because we don't have anybody right now. And that's another thing the front office forgot to do. When you move somebody into the starting lineup, you got to make sure you fill their void, and we did not do that. So, again, we added a couple of names at the buyout market, neither of which are 6-man initiators or guys who, I know Kevin Love was second for 6-man of the year, but he's in the starting lineup now. But that's besides the point. We did not add anybody who could have filled Tyler Hero's void from last season. Now, obviously, I'm not asking someone to go out there and score 20 off the bench like Hero did, because that was one of the best six-man seasons of all time. But there were guys out there in free agency. Malik Monk was a free agent. He just had 36 against the Clippers a couple nights ago. There's guys like that, bro. And we could have upgraded. We could have filled that void if we needed to, but unfortunately we did not. So, again, that's another thing. And to be honest, like, I wish I could keep going and going and going, but I know that, you know, I don't want to make this video too long, so we're probably not going to talk much more about, you know, what's wrong with the Heat and why they're not playing well. I think a lot of people already know the reasons. We've been watching this team for like over half the season already. Like, you know, it's nothing new. So I'm not going to sit here and just repeat the same stuff over and over again that I have on previous videos, but that's basically the gist of why I think the Heat have struggled so much this season. Now, obviously, where does, you know, the future with this team lie? Like, what does the future hold? I'm not really too sure. Again, like, when I watch games at this point, I'm really just watching for the development of some of these players, because I just want to see, you know, I'm already ready to move on to the offseason. Like, I'm just kind of just done with the season in general. I just want to turn a page on the season and kind of just have a fresh start, a new team in the offseason. So I'm kind of just excited for Bam and Tyler's development moving forward. Now, Jimmy is going to be very interesting, because I don't know, Jimmy obviously wants to win, and this is a very disappointing season right now. So I don't know if he's going to request a trade. I don't know what's going to happen in the offseason with Jimmy. I know he would rather finish his career in Miami, but I don't really know what the situation is going to be with him. But I'm more interested in Bam's development, Tyler's development. Kyle Lowry, bye-bye, bro. Adios. Like, he can leave. Like, in the offseason, we'll probably get rid of him somehow. But yeah, those are basically like the reasons that I don't think the Heat have been playing that well this season. And they do have some decisions to make, especially regarding Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and their extensions, because their contracts are up this offseason, so they're gonna have to figure out what they want to do with them. We should have sold high on Strus. We're probably gonna lose him for nothing or pay him a lot of money that he doesn't deserve, which is another L by the front office, by the way. But I'm gonna wrap it up there, man. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video. Again, leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below what your thoughts are about this team and the situation. And yeah, I'll see y'all there as always, man. Peace.